My podcasts aren't designed for your enjoyment because Hoosiers is coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevenay. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time, and today that is both of us. We're
Yeah,
continuing our Gene Hackman celebration.
yeah.
I mean,
Enter
I feel like
Sports Movie Month with Hoosiers.
and yeah, and sports movie month with Hoosiers. I feel like we could just throw Gene Hackman month. Remember we did that little stretch of just covering a different Alfred Hitchcock movie?
Yeah. Oh, like all the time.
We should just do that with Gene Hackman. I feel like he deserves it.
At this
Who
point, we covered. Yeah, this is the third month in a row we covered Gene Hackman because, but we covered. Did we cover anything in between? We covered fucking
French Connection. We did not cover
French.
anything else, but
I goes. Yeah, we probably. Yeah, I just watched so much Gene Hackman in general. It feels like that. So
respecting the icon, the legend, and this is one of his another one of his most esteemed works. Um, it's a sports movie.
yeah.
We'll get into it for sure. Tommy, did you have any like glaring thoughts that you wanted to say about it over the top or no?
I find it hilarious that Gene Hackman was convinced this movie was going to be a piece of shit, and he like kept on like terrorizing the cast and crew. The fun thing about covering any Gene Hackman movie is that we get to discover how much of a dick he was on the set to like whatever actor or director it was.
Oh yeah, he was a nuisance on the set, but
Yeah,
hey, the results speak for themselves, and he's
mm,
kind of in character as the coach,
yeah.
uh, Norman Dale. He's a bit of a he's a prickly fella in this, and Gene Hackman playing prickly works well for him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think there's a new movie that just came out that we do need to discuss, Tommy.
Yeah, freaking Sinners came out over the weekend, and I think we both saw in IMAX, right?
I saw it and I did not see it in like 70 millimeter, but I did see
Yeah,
it in.
neither did I. Just alone, I mean, first thoughts for me, seeing that movie in IMAX is just incredible because there's like so many scenes where all of a sudden the aspect ratio changes from like kind of your more standard aspect ratio to then all of a sudden the screen just like it looks like it just like swallows you up and just like gets really huge. And I don't want to do we want to spoil a little bit, but like there's one part where they open up like a barn door.
Well, I hear it. I got it. I got it.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
Spoilers.
yeah, we're not gonna say why they open up, but they open up a barn door, and all of a sudden, like the IMAX ratio changes right there, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit, this is incredible!" Gave me goosebumps right off the bat. And the dual Michael B. Jordan performance was really fun. I just think that it reminded me of like From Dusk Till Dawn, which we've
Yeah.
covered
Oh,
before.
it had a lot of From Dusk Till Dawn in there.
Yeah,
I definitely saw that. For me, what worked in this movie was like the restraint of everything in it. There's a moment, and it's so it happens coincide with the aspect ratio changing in IMAX from your
mhm.
standard aspect ratio to the IMAX larger aspect ratio, where you just go, "Oh, it's on," and everything up until that point is just like a pressure cooker. I mean, the best way to describe this movie as spoiler free as possible is the Smokestack Twins, which elite name, played
Yeah,
by both by Michael B. Jordan plays both roles, are back in Greenboro, Mississippi after 7 years in Chicago working for Al Capone, and they're opening up a nightclub, and they're trying to get a blues musician in there, uh, musicians and people into their house, and the pressure from them being back in town. They were infamous gangsters before they left, and
mhm.
going and working with Capone made them even bigger. Everybody in
Yeah.
town knows them, and it's just this wild pressure cooker of something's going to happen, and then
So how much have you been like familiar with Ryan Coogler's work? Have you seen all of his movies?
I've seen Creed and Black Panther.
You didn't see the second Black Panther?
No,
It was shockingly like one of the best things that Marvel's come out with in the last few years because like Ryan Coogler's still the direction, but they're also given the impossible task of like Chadwick Boseman died in real life. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. There's
but
that was
but regardless, back to Sinners itself. I mean, this is really the first time Coogler said in an interview. He was like, "This is the first time I've ever really directed my own thing." Because his first movie, Fruitvale Station, that was based on a true story. Then he did Creed. That's like Sylvester Stallone's thing. Then he does two Black
Marvel
Panther movies. That's Marvel. So now we're giving his own original IP, and it's probably my favorite movie of the year so far, by far.
easily.
So, just I can't wait to see what's next. Do you stick around for the first post credit scene?
I stuck around. There's apparently two post-credit scenes. I
Yeah.
did know about the first one. I didn't know about the second one, which does to me feel a little bit like, hey, Ryan Coogler, let's leave Marvel in the past. Let's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
We don't need post-credit. We don't need it. We don't want it. We
We
don't
get our
desire it.
fix.
When I sit in a movie theater for 2 hours and 20 minutes, the last thing I want to do is sit there through the credits to watch like well,
Oh,
I guess it was an epilogue. It was much there's a lot more to it than I would have anticipated a post-credit scene to have. Like you kind of had to
it was,
stay and
yeah,
watch
you're right.
that.
It was an epilogue. It was at least 5-10 minutes. So,
It was five, but yeah.
it made me think about how Marvel and all that stuff creates the end credit scenes. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would always want to stay after the credits, so we'd be like getting out of like the Clone Wars. And my mom would be like, "Wait, I want to see who's in this movie." I was like, "Mom, let's go." My mom didn't know about IMDb back in the day.
No, I gotta see who the assistant production crew is. Okay,
Oh,
tell
that
me
was Ewan McGregor. That's who the Obi-Wan was.
who Obi-Wan was. Ewan McGregor. It's like, Mom, his name is on the front of the poster. Okay, we can find it there.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, Sinners, like really, really good time. I loved the beginning of it too. It set it up so perfectly.
Mm.
Um,
Just like
there's
a
like
good cold
this,
open.
yeah, and then would you call this a horror movie? Because like I was told, oh, it's scary, and then I was like the beginning, I was like, oh, damn, like with those they did like the jump cuts, and I was like, oh, damn,
This
okay,
this felt more like
campy.
in the style of like John Carpenter or like
Yeah, well, it
and
felt
John Carpenter not in his scary moments, but more in sort of like the Assault on Precinct 13 or like Big Trouble in Little China and stuff like that. Felt
it was
more like that.
definitely a little campy
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
in a
Where
good
it
way,
didn't
in a very
and,
good way.
whereas like I was convinced it was gonna be like a very scary like type of movie, but ended up being more of like a good like action horror kind of movie. So if you're squeamish, don't worry too much. There are a couple of bloody scenes, but nothing like insane, I'd say. Or
Uh,
maybe I'm just so desensitized that it's not that
yeah,
much for
you're
me.
like the worst judge of this.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, some guy gets his throat ripped off. It's not that bad.
You know, found out earlier we were discussing before we were recording like what we are gonna do, what movies of anniversary comes up, and Tommy's like throws out Human Centipede 3 and was like and I was like, absolutely not. He's like, yeah, I've never seen any of them. And I was like, wow, we've actually found your limit.
Yeah. Well, because it feels like just a meme of a movie where it's just like, yeah, I get it. Like I saw a South Park episode.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, like, there's the South Park episode on that, and
Yeah.
that's it. There, but what would you rate Sinners, Tommy?
4.5 out of 5. Just the music too, like the sound
Oh, the
design.
music was so good. This
Like
blues soundtrack. Mwah.
yeah, even just like the Irish jigs and stuff like that the vampires were doing. So, overall, just really incredible stuff from Ryan Coogler in general. So I'm excited to see when he gets to more and more original IPs.
Yeah, and apparently he gets to retain the rights of the movie after 20 years. Like Warner Brothers has to forego the rights to this movie, which I think is a very fascinating business decision there. And I saw, people are kind of baffled by this decision by Warner Brothers because this thing is a hit. I
Yeah.
think, there's been a lot of original movies that came out. I went and saw Drop in theaters a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw Drop.
I'm actually, well, it's already almost out of theaters, so I have to go an hour out of the way to see it at 8 o'clock on Monday.
That's tough.
Do you think it's worth it?
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's Blumhouse, so it's, it does what it does well with its like low budget kind of thing and stretching out a concept. I think you as a horror veteran will sniff it out right away,
Mm.
if that makes sense. But
Well,
I
it feels like a return to like the mid-budget movie we used to get so much that I've been obsessed with. Of just like, yeah, two actors. Granted, we don't really know. I don't know either of those two actors.
so the guy was in that Blake Lively movie, which I watched with my girlfriend.
What, the one that came out last year?
Yeah, the It Ends With Us or something like
Yeah,
that. I think that's what it's called.
he's not the guy that gets getting sued, right? Or suing
No,
them.
no, he's the other guy. So he's like the handsome cowboy in that movie who comes in and is like her first love, and he's all like, I just want to make sure the same things aren't happening to you because he sees her with like a black eye or something. And then,
Hmm.
it's a Colleen Hoover novel inspired movie. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Domestic violence, the whole nine. Oh, but he's not actually that bad. But he is that bad. He is that bad. He's pushing you down the stairs, sweetheart. How do you not see it with your
Yeah.
own eyes?
But Drop was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. Got a little campy at the end, but I kind of dug it. But it's a good time. It's worth the watch. I don't know if it's worth the hour drive, but that's up for you to decide.
I'm gonna make a whole trip out of it.
What's
Like
the trip?
not go to the mall nearby that I haven't been to in a while.
Nice.
Exciting stuff, I know.
Riveting. Riveting stuff for
I
this
know, I
pod.
know. I'm
Tommy,
like,
when
oh,
I, Tommy, when I
I'm
say that, you have to lie and be like, yeah, I'm actually just hanging out with my friend Beyonce. She's inviting me over. We're about to have a little chat, catch up. Oh, did I mention, by the way, I'm friends with Beyonce? No big deal.
yeah,
Big
yeah.
deal, but kind of big deal, right? Like, we're on a podcast, Tommy. You can't say like, well, you know,
I'm
hey,
just going to a mall.
I needed
I'm gonna
some
walk
under
around the mall.
I
I'm gonna
needed
see if
some
there's any
fresh
cool
underwear.
stores.
I needed some fresh underwears, maybe some
Dude,
Auntie Annie's
it's
or a
it's like
Wetzel's
one of those
Pretzels.
one of those things about like my early 30s now that's crazy. It's like now I'm excited to go to the mall on the weekend. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the mall. Sometimes though, it's to find like fucking like 4Ks or records or whatever.
Yeah, that I know what you're shopping for. You're not shopping for underwear. You're shopping for 4K prints or records. Do you
Yeah.
still collect comic books?
Occasionally, not all the time. So I usually do. That's the only thing I care about. Like where I'm like, I can do that digitally. Like fuck it.
I will say I watched just in term we don't have to talk about the movie, but I watched Inglorious Bastards on Blu-ray,
Nice.
and it's so stunning to me like how much better movies look on
Without the
Blu-ray
compression, all the
without the
streaming.
streaming. Yeah, like it looks so much better on disc. I need to start going to McKay's more for the movies we covered and see if I can find the Blu-rays for like $3 or $4 because
Mm.
it makes such a world of difference of putting it on there versus watching it compressed on streaming. Like you see such a drastic visual difference.
There's
And it's not even
it,
4K.
yeah, that like just Blu-ray alone is so much better than streaming. Where it's like watching Nope. I remember I watched like Nope on my tablet for my rewatch like last year,
And Dune.
and well, a whole different story. But anyways, but Nope alone was just like so compressed to shit. That movie is so much about darkness and like seeing things in the dark, and all I could see was just this shitty, awful streaming compression over and over and over again to the point where I was like, I can't see shit. What the hell's going on here? So when you move to like getting a Blu-ray disc or a 4K disc, you don't get any of that. You can actually see in nighttime scenes. So it's just a world of difference right there. So it's not shocking at all that you found Inglourious Basterds so much better on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I just had to make that. I had to make that note up. I had to let the people know that I want my Best Buys and my Targets to have bigger Blu-ray sections like they used to. So if you people start buying it, you buy all this
Yep.
junk.
Best Buy got rid of all their
I
physical
know it's
media.
tragic.
Yeah.
It's a
So
Greek tragedy, but let's go back to a simpler time, Tommy. The year is 1954. We're in Indiana and we're covering Hoosiers.
We're going to be a tough team to beat. Now you come along for the ride.
A tough coach. He turned losers into fighters. Enemies into friends.
I play, coach stays. He goes, I go.
Challenges into triumphs.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, in my book, we're going to be winners.
Hoosiers. It'll go straight to your heart. Rated PG.
Starts tomorrow at selected theaters near you.
Oh, I miss that sound. Starts tomorrow in selected theaters near you. We don't get any more TV commercials like that. Hoosiers, 1986 sports drama, written by Angelo Pizzo and directed by David Anspaugh. It's his directorial debut. He also did Rudy. He didn't do too much else, but that's what you know him from. Gene Hackman stars as Norman Dale, a new basketball coach with a spotty past. Film co-stars Barbara Hershey, Dennis Hopper, whose role as the basketball-loving town drunk earned him an Academy Award nomination. Um,
First off, do you think that's earned?
I think that's the craziest sentence I've ever read in my life.
You thought Des Hopper was terrible in this movie?
I didn't think he was terrible. I just didn't think he was worthy of an Oscar.
I think it was one of those situations where like he just had such a great year in general that like people are like, all right, we can't nominate the Blue Velvet performance, so like let's go for the more
Ah,
conventional.
that might be it.
Yeah,
It's like wink, wink. We're gonna nominate you for Hoosiers, but it's really for Blue Velvet.
apparently like but Dennis Hopper was like, yeah, I'm excited to get an Oscar, but like this was not the movie I did this year that should have gotten it whatsoever. But I there's just something of Hollywood loving to like nominate drunks for like Oscars.
Especially in that time, like
Yeah.
that mid 80s to 90s. I mean, what's
Nick Cage won an
the
Oscar for being
the
an
Las
alcoholic.
Vegas, Leaving
Yeah,
Las Vegas, with Elizabeth Shue and Nicolas Cage, and he was just a drunk. Like, story was that Nicolas Cage drank in a mirror and read the script so he could see how he looked while he was drunk, and then
it's incredible.
reflect it that way. Yeah, Hoosiers. I never saw it. It's one of those movies that I feel like was at least growing up like sports fan. It's always been like, oh, you've never seen Hoosiers? Oh wow, this is great. Oh wow, this is great, and it's a good movie, but it's man, is it by the numbers?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you've seen like any sports movie, you can probably guess the plot overall. But there's some things in this movie that kind of elevate it a bit for me. Like just like the Jerry Goldsmith score in this movie is incredible. Just such a great like of the time moment where like I feel like there's like some sense in there too, but like it really drove the action. And some of the tension of this movie is really well earned. So the kickoff, I guess, do you want to start from the beginning or do you want to just go
You
like
go.
smudgeboard? All right, so there's one part of the movie where one of the characters, I think is Ollie, where he has to make two free throws. And he's like basically like the kid who like the scrub, where like he's supposed to never be in the game and like he's terrible at basketball. You see like 3 minutes before he just fucks up all these different
He
moments of
kicks the
like
foot off ball off his foot.
yeah, commits like a turnover or two, misses a shot, like immediately just like this kid sucks. And it's up to him to sink th two free throws to win the game. And the whole time I'm watching this, I was actually invested where I was like, are they actually gonna do the moment of like letting the kid like fucking fail and then somehow they win the game by someone else?
Hmm.
And that was one moment where I was like, shit, like edge of my seat, like, come on, is this kid gonna make it? It was a real moment of like using the sport for maximum dramatic tension you could.
And he, of course, uses the granny shot.
Yeah. It's so funny about the granny shot. To go on a quick tangent, Rick Barry was the last player ever to use the granny style shot. And he is the best free throw shooter of all time. He's like over 90% or like 90% overall. And there's so many players like Andre Drummond back in the day where like they told him like, yeah, you could be a better free throw shooter. Your one big weakness in this league if you do granny style. And he's like, I'm not doing that. No, are you fucking kidding me?
What do I look like, a pussy? I'm not
Yeah,
doing
like,
that.
I'm not a bitch. Like, what are you fucking kidding me?
What are you calling me, a bitch? I need to shoot it granny style? That ain't me. I don't need to
Yeah,
do it.
can you imagine Shaq trying to do that? Shaq was like, did not has too much of an ego to shoot fucking
I don't know
Andre.
if Shaq, I don't even know if Shaq could make a granny shot to begin with. So
Yeah,
infamous, maybe the most dominant player ever, and easily like anything outside of 5 feet, just horrendous shooter. Horrendous.
terrible, terrible overall. So, as more of the basketball guy between the two of us, I thought this is a good representation of the sport. Like I said, like they had that one moment of maximizing the dramatic tension you could out of it. It was interesting to see, like, forgetting how the 3-point line wasn't a thing until like the 70s.
Yeah.
So That was completely not a point of it.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Chitwood would have been the greatest shooter of all time if they had a 3-point line. It wouldn't have even been close.
Yeah. But how
But
do you feel about like the representation of the sports in this? Do you feel like it was like really good of like maximizing everything
like, what do you mean, like representing basketball? I think what it does
or
really well is represents a time in American history where basketball was defined by a state before it was defined by a league. And like Indiana basketball was such a big tradition back in that day. Whereas like the rest of the United States, you think of high school football,
Mhm.
but for Indiana, it was basketball. Like that was the team, those were the guys that you wanted to be. Um, so I think like channeling that, like I'm looking at like the accolades, and this movie was submitted to the Library of Congress for film preservation as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, due in part to especially large number of nominations from Indiana citizens. So I think that's what this movie really channels in on. Like that's kind of what it's all about, right?
Mhm.
Like Gene Hackman arrives into town and immediately he's bombarded by all the dads being like, "Now we know you used to be a coach, but that's not how we coach here, you know?" And it's like it's like an instant bomb bash. And then the first practice that he hosts, character George, who played by Chelsea Ross, who do you know who he plays where you would know him from?
Basic Instinct. I knew that.
Basic Instinct, but also he's Conrad Hilton in Mad Men.
Oh yeah. Shit.
Like 20 years later, but he that is I was
Of
like
course, I go with Basic Instinct first.
and I go with Mad Men first. It's about perfect for us that we have that
Like,
like
oh, I know he's a Basic Instinct. Yes, Tommy. Yeah.
yeah, but
Keep on bringing up Basic
yeah, but
Instinct.
he was a bit part in Mad Men. Okay, do you know how cool that is?
Yeah. He's great.
And like he gets to the gym and they just have a very strong confrontation. And it means a lot in this town, the small town of Hickory, Indiana, this basketball team. Like it's what their culture seems to revolve around is the high school basketball season. I think
Mm,
it's a really cool instance of like small town community thriving. I think it's something that we lack in the United States as a whole.
mm.
It's kind of like small town community. I feel like there's a lot less
Well,
community nowadays, and I think it's a really interesting retrospective on that time.
yeah. I mean, like, but still, overall, like, there's like the power of like high school sports to bring people. Like in Rye, where we grew up, no one gave a shit about like the basketball team, but our football team, I felt like every Friday night, like so many people are there, like hundreds of people. Whereas in
Thousands,
this,
thousands of
yeah,
people.
thousands
Our
of
big
people.
rivalry game had like at least 5,000 people, which is crazy for a New York high school football game. Right,
Yeah.
Harrison? Crazy amount of people.
Exactly. So there's that in itself, but like overall, like the community aspect was good. I just liked how everyone was immediately on Gene Hackman's throat when he got here.
Yeah, and as they should. I mean, he was like very prickly at the beginning. Gene Hackman had a past as a basketball coach in Ithaca. I thought he was going to be like the Cornell basketball coach, but no, he was in made up high school basketball coach.
Yeah.
Then he was in the Navy during World War II. He had to leave coaching due to his mysterious past, which Mira Fleener, the other teacher played by Barbara Hershey, just pulls up at the library one day, just like pulls up with a sheet of paper, being like, "Ah, so you choked out a kid, huh? That's why you had to leave coaching." And he's like, "Yeah, you caught me. That's what happened."
I felt so bad, but when I heard that in the movie, like it made me laugh because I was just imagining Gene Hackman doing that because it's like that sounds like something so much Gene
That
Hackman would do.
sounds like
Like,
something
you
Gene.
fucking dumb, stupid fucking kid.
I told you to pass the ball 4 times. Oh,
Yeah. It's like that's probably what he did to Wes Anderson on the set of the Royal Tenenbaums.
yeah,
Or
that's an infamous one of him not putting up with a young director.
yeah, exactly. So like when I was hearing that, I was like, yeah, this sounds like a Gene Hackman thing.
I do feel like, and just like on like younger directors, like, is it fair to them? Probably not. But does it make it them tougher going forward and knowing how to work with difficult personalities? Yes, 100%. Like if you can deal with Gene Hackman in your movie, on your movie set, you can then deal with anybody on any future movie set going forward.
Well, so this director, David Assenbach, he also directed Rudy, which I said earlier I haven't seen. But he was talking about this, how like before filming began, he was like, "Oh shit, we have Gene Hackman. This is awesome. He's so cool. This is gonna be great. He's funny. He has all these great stories." And it's like he said the first that happened, and then the first day of shooting happened. And it was like he was a completely different person. He just made it hell on earth every single day. He was negative about every little thing, nitpicky as hell. He wanted off the movie. And like he was like predicting Gene Hackman was like, this movie's a real piece of shit. Like this is gonna be a flop. Like, what are we doing here? At one point, like there'd be blowups on set, where like people would throw jackets and like near fist fights. So Dennis Hopper comes 3 weeks into the set and he was able to settle Gene down a little bit. There's like, all right, like another like somewhat A-listers back here. So,
Gene, I'm another professional actor that you've heard of.
yeah, exactly. Just right there, just like all right. There's one scene where like Gene Hackman and like there's a montage of like Hickory winning games, and Gene Hackman's like talking to Dennis Hopper on the bench, and Dennis Hopper starts laughing, and they had no idea what he ever said. That David Asper found out years later. Gene Hackman told Dennis Hopper, "Hopper, I hope you invested well because you and I are never going to work at this movie. This is a career-ending film for both of us."
Career killer.
Yeah, he was just like awful. The
It,
last day of filming, let's listen to this one part. The last day of filming, Gene Hackman goes up to like the writer and Asperberg and says, "I just want you to be prepared for the fact that this movie might get on a few scenes here, screens here in Indiana, but then it'll end up in the dustbin of films that never made it, and only people who will remember it are you two. And I hope I forget when my plane lands in Los Angeles."
did you find anything on him after the fact, like in an interview years later, being like, "So you were completely wrong about Hoosiers. How do you feel about the movie after, seeing it?"
I need to like go through and see if they have any things where Gene Hackman's like somehow humble about it. It's like, oh, what did I think? He like signed up for Superman 4 the next year because like fuck, like I'm gonna need money fast because of this Hoosier stinker.
His
And
Hoosiers stinker, meanwhile, gets nominated for 2 Academy Awards.
yeah, he gave
But
the director like anxiety attacks.
oh, I believe it. Yeah. But you think about it, it's a really low budget movie. Orion Pictures is the distributor, and they're not really helping um in there. It's like, and you're just in rural Indiana. You're coming from like living in Los Angeles for the past 15 years to rural Indiana. It's in the court located in Knightstown, Indiana,
Mm,
now known as the Hoosiers Gym.
mm.
Um, right? Like, you're used to staying at like the Beverly Inns hotel, and now you're staying at a Comfort Inn because that's the only hotel within 15 miles.
There's something about the cinematography of the beginning of this movie that just really enveloped me of just the small town nature of just showing like the shots of just like open fields and stuff like that over and over again. I just like
Farmland.
yeah, all the farmland stuff and everything. So I did like that aspect, and I felt like they really used their setting well in this.
Oh yeah, it. I loved the beginning with the credits and the titles over it, and we just
Mm,
see the car driving further and further into the field. It's a great way to like settle you into the movie.
mm. It
And
always works.
it always works. I mean, listen, it's been done
Like
before. I'm not saying it's anything revolutionary, but
even in dog shit movies like Halloween 4, where they just have like a great like shots of just like I don't know, like Illinois field and like Halloween a time. It's like, oh, this is a really cozy. I'm getting like wrapped in right here. And it's a terrible movie.
Halloween 4, terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
let's talk about what did you think of his coaching style? You as our resident basketball head.
He was definitely a hard ass for that side. But I did think he was able to get something out of his players because it seemed like they did like lack discipline or anything before. And sometimes you kind of just need that kick in the ass for basketball. So yeah, I thought he was a good coach.
You thought he was a good coach.
Yeah.
I agree, except for the first game where, to prove a point, he pulls out one of the boys who wasn't following his rule of you have to make 4 passes before you shoot, which I think is a dumb rule, by the way. Like if you have three passes and you're wide open, take the shot.
Yeah.
I don't, what do I know? But I think that's a good rule of thumb. I he pulls which one was it Raid he pulls out of the game?
One of the important guys.
One of the guys on the team, Raid, you had Raid, Buddy, Wit, Ollie, and Jimmy Shitwood, who comes in later. Can we talk about the false promise of Jimmy Chitwood?
Oh yeah.
So that's all I've heard. Oh, Jimmy Chitwood, one of the greatest movie players ever, throughout all time. Sure, I think he says two words in the entire movie.
They said like specifically it was like 4 words overall. Like he barely talks.
He has four lines in the whole movie. He barely talks, and it's just to keep the coach in the town because after they start, like, what is it, 0-4, the townspeople revolt and they hold a town hall meeting to vote on whether to keep the coach or not. And they he's voted out, but Jimmy Chitwood, who was the team's best player, whose father just passed away, who decided to take the year off over Miss Miss Fleener's advice to take the year off because she wants something more for him. She doesn't
Mm.
want him to be stuck in Hickory, Indiana, coaching basketball 20 years from now. She wanted him to have a life and a career, whatever, and maybe get an academic scholarship somewhere else. Um, he decides to come back to play for coach, kind of unprovoked. There is that nice little shot where they're having practices and you see Jimmy just in between the bleachers, just kind of like hiding in there and listening.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you're saying though, he only has officially 4 lines of dialogue. Um, so he has like the most of them are in that scene you're talking about, where like
And then the
he's
other
like,
ones
"Yeah,
I
I
got
think
it.
Coach Dale."
And
Yeah,
then the other ones I got it.
yeah, like I'll make it in the final scene. So they build up this character. I was like, "Oh, this is like one recluse, and we gotta build him." And like, then yeah, he takes the final shot. But other than that, like, I was like, "What the fuck? Why is he not speaking?" There is one thing though to this movie. I was wondering if you were thinking this, because I was feeling this way. The fact that none of these the guys on the team have gone on to like be anything in Hollywood or like any other film, I think really helps us like 30, 40 years later.
Yeah, keeps it kind of like it feels like it is an actual high school basketball team, despite the guys looking like, I don't know, 10 years older than high school basketballers.
No, no, most of these guys were like in the NCAA at this point, so like at least
Oh,
like
were
in
they really?
college. Yeah, yeah, and apparently the NCAA did some like really fucking fucked up shit where like they made 5 of the guys like get suspended for 3 games because they're like, oh, like you earned like you got hired because of your basketball skills and made money and you can't do that.
You
And
can't do
so
that. You can't do that not without Uncle NCAA taking something out of your pocket. They're
yeah,
like
yeah,
a worse,
exactly.
they're like a worse Uncle Sam with your taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Some fucked up shit like that.
How
But
much how much money did Uncle Sam take from your taxes this year, Tommy?
oh yeah, ton. So anyways, um what was I thinking? Like, it would be one thing if this movie had like Ethan Hawke. Imagine like
Yeah,
the
and Ethan Hawke, maybe even like a young Ben Stiller, something like some one of those kind of guys, right? Like from that.
if it had it, you'd just be like, oh, that's Ethan Hawke, or that's like Matt Dillon or whatever. I'm trying to think of like actors of that age who like, would have been appropriate. So it's so much better, like it just feels
Anthony Michael Hall.
yeah.
Take the entire cast of The Breakfast Club and just shove them into this movie.
So it's good that we just have like a blank slate with all these characters once we're meeting them. But also at the end of the day, like most of them don't have much personality, like we're saying, because like we just said, Jimmy Chitwood, 4 lines of dialogue. Then the next guy, maybe I don't know, I can't even.
I think my problem was with Jimmy Chitwood is there's so much buildup of importance of him early on. It's like, oh, you're never gonna win, coach, without Jimmy. And he's like, I don't need Jimmy. Then we see Jimmy shooting free throws outside, and he's like, hey, you didn't come to class today. I'm more concerned about your academics. I don't care if you don't play. And then and Mrs. Fleener is like, oh, it's so nice of you for not really going after Jimmy, but I really appreciate that. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Jimmy walks into the town hall, which I think was just at the town chapel, which sounds about right, and
Mhm.
walks through the door, and it's just like, yeah, so I'm gonna play, and the only reason I'm gonna play is if coach stays. And I'm like, wow, they interacted once, like just felt a little bit like the hurdle the first half of the movie needed to have before the team could start ramping up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It just felt like I mean, obviously, this is Gene Hackman's movie. When you have Gene Hackman, you want him on screen as much as
Of
possible.
course.
But there is like some more things that could have been done. Because I feel like other than Cheeky Ross is like basically the epitome of the town in itself. He's a great character actor in those moments. The sheriff is fun. Yeah, but the sheriff has that one moment where, like, after the first game, he runs inside the locker room and tries to tell him, and then Gene Hackman's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" But other than that, most of the characters don't really pop, you know.
Yeah,
And Des Hopper, I mean, if I forget if I mentioned him, but yeah, he obviously pops.
so
Um,
he plays the town drunk shooter who is Everett's father, who's on the basketball team. And he shows up and he just starts giving Dale some advice. Coach Dale wants him on as a coach, but tells him he needs to sober up.
yeah.
And it's a really good performance by Hopper, but I feel like this movie could have been a lot better with a stronger script.
Mhm. Or maybe even a stronger cut. Because Asper and Puzo, well, the guy who wrote this movie, wanted to release like a 2 hour and 48 minute version. That might have been too long, but like
Brutal. Oh no.
somewhere in the middle of what we got and like what they wanted to release. Because they said um they had to cut like scenes of Buddy asking to return to the team, scenes that like developed Gene Hackman and was Barbara Hershey.
Yeah, Myra Fleener.
Yeah, Barbara Hershey and like their romance and like basically like I felt like would have added more character moments that we're talking about that felt lacking in this movie. And it would have been curious. I think 2 hours, 40 minutes would have been insane. That would have been too much. We don't need a super long version of this, but maybe if we had, I
No,
think even
a
10 more minutes,
a
10
two
more
hour
minutes would,
2 hour cut of this movie would have been good.
yeah, because this is just a hair under 2 hours, like 114 minutes. So if we had like about like 10 more minutes, I feel like it would have added a lot more to this movie.
My problem with the shooter character is he comes in and he coaches. He has that one nice moment where Coach Dale gets himself kicked out and is like, "Hey, shooter, it's on you. I know I promised I wouldn't do this." And then he, calls the coaching of the game and does it, has this big success. And then once the playoffs start, he relapses, gets drunk, gets thrown in a drunk tank, and then that's the end of his character for the whole movie. Like,
Mhm.
feels like we're missing like a bigger dramatic moment. Like there was that one moment between him and his son that was fairly nice, but it didn't feel like the resolution I needed for this character. And then he's just regaled to the sideline for the rest of the movie.
So I'm curious how if you feel about this. Because apparently that originally that was going to be like in the end of the movie, Des Hopper is going to be there for the state championship game with everyone else. But then Des Hopper like sat down with the director and the writer, and he basically was just like, "All right, guys, like I just got out of like being an alcoholic. I feel like if you say that he's at the state championship game, then that means he's not taking his sobriety seriously. I think that this character would want to stay in the hospital, the rehab treatment center, to really commit to the fact that like he's being sober this time." And they thought about it, they fought back and forth for a while, until they basically were like, all right, Des Hopper's right. And they ended up pulling Des Hopper's version, which was he stays in the hospital and he just hears the game on the radio.
Yeah,
So
I get it. From it just for a sports movie that's going to end on the big game, because what sports movie doesn't really end with the big game, right?
mm,
Uh, like this main character of yours kind of it's a weird character because he succeeds and then fails and we don't get retribution for him. Versus a lot of times you'll find it's like the player that gets injured or the player that dies and it's not really a fault of their own. It's like a dour moment, but the team moves on. It seemed like nobody gave a shit. He's in the hospital. It's like, and Norman's just like to Everett's just like, keep your head in the game, and that's it.
Mm.
I just feel like, as you said, there's a 2 hour 40-minute cut of this. I feel like we're missing something, along with the connection, the relationship between Miss Fleener and Coach Dale, because like right before one of the big tournament games, they kiss, and I was just like, that was out of left field. Like I felt the flirty tension throughout the whole thing, but it just felt a little out of left field, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, they didn't really give enough moment for that to breathe or be developed.
Yeah, easily. They definitely did not let that happen. Um,
Um, so how would you feel if this movie originally was going to be with Jack Nicholson? He wanted to do the movie. But then he told the producers, he's like, all right, now I have to wait for a year to get this movie done, and then I can come shoot yours. But if you got another guy, you can go for that guy, and you can cast him wherever. And they had to cast Gene Hackman instead. Do you think the movie would have been way better of Jack Nicholson?
I think it would have been. I mean, I no. I actually think if you're gonna have a prickly pair, I think Gene Hackman's the guy. I think
Gene Hackman's like the ultimate, like fucking, like piece of shit, prickly son of a bitch. I
yeah, he's
agree.
a prickly World War II veteran, like SOB, like just that guy. I think of Jack. I think he can go a little bit more eccentric and a little bit more into the strange than like a Gene Hackman could.
The
Not that
Jack
Gene
Nicholson
can't.
version, the Jack Nicholson version feels more like Bad News Bears, where like you probably
Yeah,
have to his character be the drunk too, right there, Dennis Hopper.
yeah, probably. You probably need something like that because
What was that Ben Affleck movie that came out during COVID? Where like he's an
oh, Tanner.
alcoholic. Yeah,
Oh, right, where he's the basketball coach alcoholic, and I was like, wow, I'm never gonna watch that.
yeah. Then I remember it got released the like week that everyone was like, "Yeah, we're shutting down everything."
Oh, that's right, it did. It was
So
it,
immediately, everyone's just like, "All right, well, I guess we're not seeing this Ben Affleck alcoholic movie."
yeah,
Just lost the time.
Ben Affleck alcoholic movie. That's quite a movie. But I, what did you think of Mrs. Fleener's role in this movie? She is second billed after all. She is a fairly prominent part of the movie, but how did you feel about her character?
2 days after watching the movie, she didn't make much of an impression on me. I mean, that's how I have to feel. I mean,
Why are you saying women don't make impressions on you, Tommy?
no, I'm not saying that at all. But no, I'm saying
That's what it sounds like to me.
in terms of this movie, I feel like her character overall was very underbaked. Wasn't really expanded on. I mean, like it felt like I could see why the directors felt like, oh, like we would have had more scenes of their romance building. But at the end of the day, it's not like she like was the ultimate factor or anything. And I don't feel like that in the movie, like they would have just had a long romance or anything like that. It didn't feel that way at all for me. So I felt like she was probably the most victim of studio cuts more than anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It feels like she didn't get the time for her character to be appreciated. We learned that she went off to a different town, a different city, went to college, and then ultimately had to move back because her father died and her mother couldn't take care of everything. But she's like, for someone who's like, oh, I'm the caretaker at Jimmy Shitwood, and then we don't see them interact once in the movie, it's like odd, you know?
Mm, yeah. We should have had more, at least like more scenes of some of the guys.
The Way Back is the movie you're thinking of, the Ben Affleck movie.
That's what I was saying. I was saying the way back. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize you said the title. Okay, I wasn't.
Yeah.
That's on me,
Yeah.
guys. I wasn't listening to Tom.
It
I
should that
literally,
be a future sports movie pick? The way back we watched the Ben Affleck alcoholic basketball coach movie.
it's got a 6.7 on IMDb, so probably not. But I mean,
Um,
if you really want to,
yeah.
if you really want to watch like a 2.5 out of 5 movie, if I've ever seen one, we can do it.
Sometimes that's all you need, just a 2.5 movie.
Sometimes that is very true, Tommy. Sometimes that's just all you need.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, Tommy, who is the star of the show? Who gave The best performance.
Um, I have to say, I mean, this might be the obvious choice, but Dennis Hopper, right there. I feel like his like portrayal, like that one scene of him just like going on the court drunk as fuck was just incredible. Like, it was like, but it was almost like a jump scare in a way. Where it's like, holy shit, what the fuck? He's like, you gotta do that. And I just love, apparently behind the scenes, he in order to get himself like act like he was drunk, he pretty much like spun himself around for a little bit.
Nice.
And like he just so he's like did 10 seconds and just like spun around, got really dizzy, and then he's like, all right, now I'm good to play drunk. But there's like so many little moments where Dennis Hopper I feel like is great in this movie where like the scene where Gene Hackman gets the technical and he gets thrown off the court and he tells like Hopper, he's like, all right, this is for you. You got this. And the way that you could see in his eyes of like, oh my fucking God, what is going on right here? And he's just so like overwhelmed and so like scared, but still like kind of knows what to do in order to set the last play. But you could see like the shaking confidence in himself where he's not really sure what's going, if he's doing this correctly or
Yeah,
not.
he does have. You know what? I was gonna say Hackman, but I think you're right. I think Hopper's performance is so visual, like it's such a focused facial performance almost,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
where it really is those little moments of like self-doubt and insecurity and like letting that out through his communicating it pretty much exclusively through his eyes, which is
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy good acting. And then watching that moment flip and then watching him, devolve again, finding him passed out at the lake, and then the moment he has with his son at the end. They were all pretty good moments. I wanted to say Hackman because I love Gene. Like he's such a good actor. But I think you're right. I think it is Hopper in this one. I think despite Shooter's like lack of focus in like the overall narrative of the movie loses a lot of its charm without his performance in it.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Like you feel the momentum just dip a little bit once he's not in there.
Ah, are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
All right, Tommy, would Hoosiers work as a Muppet adaptation?
I'm like imagining like the closest I can think of like what if they made like a Muppet Space Jam? Like what if instead Space Jam 2, their like new idea of like every time we make a new Space Jam movie, it's gonna be a different property playing basketball. So it's just like Space Jam
I
1 is
forgot. I
just Looney
forgot you
Tunes.
still think Space Jam's a good movie.
Oh,
See, that,
nostalgia blind 100%. But I watched it again recently.
I think it's the only movie you still have in your repertoire where I think you're spitefully nostalgic about it.
I watched it again like a month or two ago, and I
You
was
bought
like,
the
yeah,
Blu-ray for it.
yeah, I got the 4K for it.
You have
And I
the
was like,
4K. You have the
damn
4.
straight.
Oh, so
But
so Tommy, you're interviewing for this job. List one of your accomplishments. I own Space Jam on 4K.
I'm coming right in.
Become you're hired. How much would you
I
like?
do work in a company at least where when I tell people I watch Space Jam, they're like, yeah, fuck yeah. But
I'm still like hell yeah, but I think it sucks. I think it's a bad movie.
I
And
think it's a
Space Jam
I think
2
it
Space Jam 2 is worse.
oh, I can't defend that whatsoever. That movie's awful. But I'm saying like what if like they did instead of just that, it's like, okay, so Space Jam 2 is gonna be like Muppets. Space Jam 3 is gonna be like SpongeBob or something like that. It's they all play basketball, it's the same plot.
You have to revive like dead IPs. You have to do like the Fleischer cartoons. Like get me like Betty Boop Popeye, like get me Fleischer Superman, like get me like these random ass characters and just do
Yeah.
it that way.
Just do it that way over and over again. It's like, okay, they faced the Monsters this time. The Monsters gonna win this one. But in terms of more strictly Hoosiers, I feel like
Hanna-Barbera,
yeah,
Space Jam
Hanna-Barbera,
4. Hanna-
Space Jam 4 and Barbera, like they really start going to the bottom of the barrel. Where like by Space Jam 5, it's like, all right, we got the characters from the Fox Kids Network from 1995, and they're gonna play them. So let's go.
Okay, for Space Jam 6, we are getting exclusively Cartoon Network's shows that lasted for 6 episodes.
Exactly. Like, remember when Cartoon Network used to like have like the summer where like they'd like show like all their like pilots they didn't pick up and be like,
Wait, do you
you can vote on what show is gonna happen.
do you remember when Cartoon Network had they had for the Super Bowl one year, they had
Oh, I know exactly what you're
Super
talking.
Car Party, which was Roadrunner and the Coyote Looney Tunes. Do you?
It wasn't 1 year. They did it 3 years. The first year was Roadrunner and Coyote. The second year was Bugs and Daffy, I think. And the third year was like Sylvester and Tweety, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Um, I remember distinctly like watching the Bugs Bunny Daffy one with my brother and I. We were like pretty much like made like kid bets or like, oh, I bet like Bugs is gonna win, of course. So then Bugs ended up losing somehow.
I bet you time on my PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. Some bullshit like that probably.
Now I'd be like, all right, give me five large on the Roadrunner.
Exactly. But where
I've
was
watched
that?
I've
It
watched
was
enough of these things. Give me five large on the Roadrunner.
for people that don't know what we're talking about. Cartoon Network pretty much like for
They
3 years in a row, like aired like a 4 hour marathon
of
block,
Looney
like
Tunes
every of
cartoons.
Looney Tunes cartoons, and like they would make it like into like a game where like whoever
They'd
got the
make it
most
for the
hits.
Super. It was for the Super Bowl.
It's
So
for the Super Bowl.
so during the Super Bowl, they would air it, and then it would cut to like live action actors like reacting to the Looney Tunes cartoons.
It
It was
might have been it might have been like actual like people because I think according to like the Wikipedia right now, I just pulled it up. John Madden was in this.
yeah, like it was like a pretty big production for what it was.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember this. If you were born in 1992 to 1994, because I assume that's the only age range that could possibly remember this, shout it out on Twitter. Let us know.
The other one was Tom and Jerry.
Uh,
I gotta find a clip of this on Twitter and be like, hey, does anyone remember this shit?
yeah, you do. We do have to throw that up. I'll find it for you.
Yeah.
But okay. So maybe a Muppet movie, maybe Space Jam 3 will be Muppet focused. Who knows? All right, Tommy, review time. Give me a score out of five, girl.
So this is a situation where I'm glad that we covered this like a couple days after I had to let this sit with me. Because at first I probably would have given this a higher score, but after thinking about it more, after talking it and stuff like that, I could definitely feel this movie needed just a little bit more meat on its bones. I mean, I can see why people love it. I can see like the performances are all good across the board.
If it's the first sports movie you've ever seen, it's probably the best movie you've ever seen. But
Exactly.
if you've seen a bunch of them, it is what it is.
Exactly. If you cover a whole month full of sports movies, then eventually you're like, you know this is going. But I'm gonna go 3.5 out of 5 because I still think that even though it's conventional paint by the numbers, I still think that just the trio Hackman, Hopper, and Jerry Goldsmith are just elevate this just a
I
little bit more
I
than the
wasn't
conventional.
expecting you to throw the composer in as the trio, but that's
What
a.
what was your what Hershey was gonna be
I
your
was gonna say Hershey, but I guess I'm not gonna disagree with you there.
yeah.
Yeah, the score is fantastic in this movie. Performance is really elevated. Having Gene Hackman and Dustin Hopper uh, really carry this. Like Hackman's probably right. Like we were talking about all the production disasters and being like, "This is a mess. This is going to be the worst movie ever." Yeah, probably would have been if you two weren't in. If Dennis Hopper and Gene Hackman weren't in it, it probably might be like one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
That's not the case though. I'm gonna go 3 out of 5. I feel like good movie. Good movie. If I had never seen a sports movie before, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But the performances really elevate it for me. It's definitely a good movie. That's my 3 out of 5. Good movie. And I feel like that's where I am on it. 3 out of 5, great score. I feel like this is a movie in 6 months. I'll be like, oh, we covered Hoosiers.
Yeah, exactly.
Be like, oh yeah, that movie. With the granny shot. I feel like that's its lasting legacy is
I
just
expected somewhat more because of like the reputation.
yeah, it
Final
had
thought.
it. I feel
I
like
had
the
it.
reputation hurt this one going
Oh,
into it. Like,
exactly. I
oh,
mean,
this is
even
Hoosiers, baby. You gotta
I,
go Hoosiers.
yeah, like, oh, this is gonna be great. Like, I'm gonna listen to a Bill Simmons podcast about this later. He's probably gonna just fucking like just praise it, everything about it. Like when I went to the video store to rent this movie out, the clerk was like, "It's a really good movie. Like, you're gonna really like that. Like, it's an awesome movie. You
I
used to watch
liked
all
it.
the time."
I listen, no
Yeah,
problem with Hoosiers.
did not hate it. Did not hate it. I thought it was fine. I thought it
I
was
thought it was
good.
a good movie. No, you didn't think it was fun. You thought it was a good movie. That's what a 3.5 out of 5 is a good
Yeah,
movie.
good movie. Good movie. Yeah,
A fine movie is like a 2.5. That's like an okay, fine movie.
yeah. You're right. You're right.
Two and below is bad and trudging downwards. That's my
Yeah,
scale.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I it's a good movie. You'll enjoy it. If you're one of these old heads that like absolutely loves Hoosiers, I'm happy for you. I just didn't feel that way.
Hmm.
But Hoosiers, 3 out of 5. Tommy, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
All right, so thank you guys so much for listening, especially during our sports month. Just a quick recap for those of you out there. For the month of April, we covered for Sports Movie Month, Bull Durham. I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. Timmy, you gave that what, a 3?
3.
All
I got a
right.
3 cents.
Yeah, and we covered Days of Thunder. I gave that 3.5 out of 5. You gave that
I think I gave
3.
all of them a 3. I think I've given all of them a 3.
And then I gave Hoosiers a 3.5 out of 5, and you gave it a 3. So
I like that our
maybe the
scoring scale is just like you're at least a half point ahead of me at all times.
exactly. I have to be like, there's so much I like. So the question is, if we do a sports movie month again, we gotta find some more 4-star, 5-star movies.
I don't know. I kind of like covering 3-star movies.
So no, sometimes they are fun. Sometimes they are
That's
fun.
it's the lexicon of film is a 3-star movie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is the understanding of cinema. Like I learn more about movies watching Hoosiers than I do watching The Godfather. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Oh, yeah.
because you start to see where I think it's more interesting when we have stuff to talk about that we disagree with in some points of like what they did with the movie versus points that we agree with. But hey, if you
Exactly.
prefer us to just cover, if you want us to go down the AFI top 100, IMDb top 250, if that's all you people want, get us a sponsor and then we'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. 3-star movies though can be great. So, don't come out. But anyways, again, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us on social media. That's at Seen It Pod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the occasional thread. We're also on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, it's podseenit.bluesky.social. And you can leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Help us out, helps us grow the show. So next month we're covering some good movies. I could tease first up.
We don't have a list yet.
We don't have a list yet, so I can't tease anything yet. But expect some good movies.
Expect some good movies. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next time.